Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and check out our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. Finally, check out our new Altar Sleeves. Get your custom sleeve image of the Magic Mics crew at AltarSleeves.com/MagicMics. Those are fun stuff. I am Evan Irwin. I'm going to get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Well, we're getting started with gift subs this week. Thank you so much, Rabies.
Yeah. Goodness, y'all are great. Ruben Bressler.
Excuse me.
Yeah, let's clear our throat. Let me clear my throat. Now, kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance for a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But subscribe first to get 2 chances to win. And don't forget our raid at the end of the show to support a member of the community. Enter your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight.
Yes.
Because the first pick, as we have rolled on here, is the early access stream, which, granted, was cobbled together quite quickly at the last moments.
We found out Tuesday night that the stream was happening, and that and you could tell because normally we get 3 individual accounts that have our names on them, and I believe it just said like human token.
Human token 1247 or something.
Yeah,
yeah, interesting.
It was a little rough, and it was fine. We still got to be a part of the event. Well, wait a minute. Well, Aaron unfortunately had some technical problems.
Aaron was invited.
Aaron,
they couldn't handle all this jelly. They weren't ready for all this jelly.
Couldn't be bothered to let her make arena function.
Yeah, my computer just had an allergic reaction and was like, ugh. My OBS was literally coming apart. Like all of those sections in OBS that say like sources, scenes, it was just like dismantling. It was the wildest thing.
I would give a positive shout out to Sean at WotC. Thank you so much for all your support and help. You did a great job there. So yes, last second, it's okay. It's all right. We all got it there, sort of, kind of, mostly-ish. All right, fine.
By the way, I believe that this is at Sean in all caps. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. And so filling the shoes for previous community manager and things I know is tough, but we did get to play the early access, some of the Kaldheim stuff. Kaldheim is a neat set. It's not broken. It's not busted. The draft is
interesting.
Some of the it's like the closest to cube draft I think that we've seen since Ikoria. Like it is super high powered draft. I've seen some decks that I thought were just stupidly great for me, and I go like 4 and 3, and I'm like, I had all the rares. I had like 4 removal spells. I had this, that, and the other, and it's just like you're playing with rocket launchers at this point. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I did a little pre-release for 2, which is not a euphemism, with my boyfriend on Saturday, and I really enjoyed the set.
I felt like every time. I'm sorry, keep going.
It's me. I have to say that. But I really enjoyed it, and I felt like combat mattered so much. And combat always matters in limited. You really do get there by running your creatures into each other. But the decisions that you had to make, like there were so many turns where like one of us would just go in the tank, where it's like, we're doing combat math, we're figuring out boast, we're figuring out, all sorts of things. And I just really enjoyed it. My only quibble, and I have a very small sample size to draw from, is that I still felt like they just, for whatever reason, it still feels like they're just not going hard enough on the tribal, where, maybe it's just the packs that I opened, but I still felt like I had, just little pieces of tribal decks, but I still didn't have enough to really like go as hard as I wanted to. And so, and I don't know why.
I agree that they did pump the brakes on the tribal elements.
I don't know why you would make a tribal set and like not make changelings in every color. Like that was the whole point.
The thing is that Ikoria isn't a tribal set.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Kaldheim.
No, I'm sorry. Kaldheim isn't a tribal set, not Ikoria. I was trying to connect it to Ikoria in my head.
Not really, but kind of.
But that's
it's like a mechanic of a color pair.
But that's the thing, though, is they like even just classifying the set, like even the fact that they like won't define it. Like, oh no, we're just kind of flirting with tribal. It's like, what's wrong with tribal? Like, what are you so afraid of? I don't understand.
Like, changelings were the answer, and they like, well, we're only giving them to you in 2 colors. You're like, but why would you do that? It's going to work so great.
And they didn't even give us. Well, they gave us a rare artifact, but they didn't even give us a rune stalactite or something weird at common.
Exactly.
Like a metal
somebody brought it up in the chat too. Even the snow thing wasn't like, we were really promised.
Snow has the same problem as tribal, in my opinion. They didn't go hard enough on it.
Yeah.
it feels like you're almost there a mini like I almost got a great tribal deck, I almost have a great snow deck. There's just so much pulling you back. And yes, if you're in that spot on the draft table and you get all the goodies, sure and all, but again, I felt like I've been at that spot at the table and like I still get ran over by these crazy great decks that I'm just not seeing or building.
To be fair though, Boast is a great limited ability.
Terrific
I
mechanic.
love Boast. It encourages combat. You do chump attacks. Like there's that 3/2 in red that exiles the top card of your library for 1. That thing is insane. Like there are so many. There's a territorial hammer skull, the one that taps creatures when you boast. There's a bunch of really cool things that you can do with Boast. And Foretell is super cool.
Foretell's really
and interesting and fun and interactive. Like I was afraid that it was going to be uninteractive because it sits in the exile zone, you can't really do anything with it, but it turns out it's fine. And I thought that those two mechanics were home runs.
We've also seen Kaldheim's impact on other formats. The Pyre is actually seeing play in Modern Goblins right now. Goblins has been
Pyre
given
of
a little
Heroes?
bit.
Interesting.
Turning Goblins into a pod deck is really cool. That was what I predicted for Commander.
So sacrifice Instigator, go get Matron to search up Grand.
I mean, it's Modern, so I don't know if Modern has Matron.
Sure.
I'm not sure, but so Goblins is essentially a pod deck now, which is cool. We've obviously seen Birgi. Birgi is seeing play in Vintage right now. They're having a lot of fun trying to break her with Cole. It was a Cole and Birgi deck, and now they've gotten rid of Cole, and it's just Birgi, so that's really cool. And so, obviously we've seen all the Tybalt's Trickery decks, which are fine. That deck is not that bad. I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I don't think
it's
really Neoform, right?
I hate that card in Standard. The swings are dumb. The swings are annoying. Like, yes, they're going to whiff, and then they're just going to scoop, or they're not going to whiff, and they're going to get that stupid serpent, and they're going to run you over on turn 3. Like, neither of these things are fun experiences. Like, I get that it's a cool card for a casual environment, but for a constructed environment where you can have 4 of that thing, and all these
there's so many ways to
things.
Interfere with it, though. I mean,
it is in a best of 3. But not in a best of 1. A best of 1 scenario.
It's
just, you see the mulligan after like more than twice, and you're like, oh my God, here we go. And the guy mulliganed to 3 and got the serpent on turn 2, and that was it. And like, that's my game of Magic. And like, that sucked. I felt that was awful.
I mean, they can just reprint Spell Snare, and we'll get rid of Neoform and Tybalt's Trickery. And we'll just have a good
be happy to see Tybalt's Trickery being cute, fun, but banned and just go somewhere else. It's not, they didn't fix it. They thought they fixed it with that random thing. They didn't. It's not.
I really enjoy the limited environment for Kaldheim, though. I mean, even just like solid creature decks, just like green-white tokens. Black, white, or black, green. Doesn't have to be elves, just black, green things.
The black, white second spell deck is really cool.
Yeah, that deck's cool. Like, there's cool stuff happening in this set. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I've actually been really impressed with the second spell creatures, the ones that make a 1/1 flyer and the one that puts a counter. I actually play that in Historic in a white weenie deck. Those cards are real. Like, the ability to play 2 spells in a turn and like have this gigantic army doesn't take long, and it gets really scary. So I was really impressed with some of those cards. But overall, again, I feel like we're not in a situation where writers are pounding on my door to write articles about how busted it is. Right. The rares that we felt were good. The Dragon's fantastic, which is great.
Zvi didn't show up at your window, knocking at the pane from the bushes, saying, Evan, something's broken.
Yes, they broke it, please.
I feel like there are a lot of Commander cards that you really want to get in now. When you watch our top 10 Kaldheim cards this weekend when it comes out, a lot of the my first 5 picks, 10 through 5, or 10 through 6 were Commander cards that are still quite affordable, that I think you should really get in on while they're still $1 to $3, because I predict them being quite expensive in the future.
Exactly. So the set was really sweet, and there was nothing that was like, oh my God, crazy, stupid, like Omnath during Zendikar, which was great. It was just a fun set. I had a good time with it. And Sealed seemed way deeper than I could give it even credit for. Like, and I can't. And the card evaluations, like Mistwalker is like one of the best creatures in Limited. That 1/4 flyer changeling. That thing is amazing. I had a hell of
a time with that one zombie with Menace, where just they get rid of all your things and be like, oh, here's a 4/2 that I can just keep pumping up with Menace, and it's like.
And that 4/4 snow guy that you can replay after like your stuff dies or whatever. Oh my God, that card is stupid.
Yeah.
But fun, silly. Let's move on here to Gather the Townsfolk, everybody. Moving on. Thank you. Computer program that's not working great. It turns out that we are going to get Magic comic books once again.
Because the last one worked out so well.
I mean, Boom Studios has acquired the comics rights to the Magic the Gathering franchise with a brand new series set to debut in April 2021.
What happened to the Chandra comic? Like, I don't recall hearing too much about it.
I think it kind of happened, and then that was it.
Because I know it got pushed back. There was some postponing.
Like originally, this was years ago, many years ago. There was a comic series that had promos, like specific promos you could find in the comic books.
Yeah,
like I think it was Treasure Trove or something was one of them.
Right, but then there was the Chandra mishap. They don't seem like they have a great track record with this. Like, why are we going back to this well? I don't understand.
Apparently, the series opens in Ravnica because everyone loves Ravnica.
I do.
Ravnica's a great location. I mean, it's a city, and all comic book heroes. Like Batman, Superman, all those should be in cities.
City is rocked by assassination attempts against 3 guildmasters, Ral, Zarek, Vraska, and Kaya. The trio will be forced to put aside their differences and go to Zendikar to hunt the assassins.
I love it.
Boom is teasing a climactic showdown with a major Magic the Gathering character. Okay.
Cool. Well, awesome.
That's great. I like it.
That's a great... but I want the comic to exist. I want to hear about it before it's like, this has been delayed for the 5th time.
Interesting.
Now, note here, let's see here. Boom will offer a Magic Pack collector bundle that includes the main cover, an exclusive variant, because variants are really big in comic books, a variant cover, and one of the hidden Planeswalker covers and a blank sketch cover.
Cool.
So I don't see anything about
sketch
promos.
Covers are super popular in the comics industry, where you have the art, you can take them and get the artist or the author to do something personalized on the cover.
Right.
So those are super cool.
Yeah, those are super cool. So so in many ways,
this
it's
sounds
classic
more
comics.
like a comics-centric focused comic as opposed to a Magic-centric focused comic, which clearly didn't work that well.
It didn't seem to work that well, and I can also understand that they're kind of once bitten in many ways, because what I saw was the comic series happened and then kind of imploded, and then later board games happened, and I remember one of the things they were like, we're not putting a Magic card in the board game, and the board game tanked, and would it have tanked harder or less harder with a card in it? Probably been better.
Well,
but
someone mentioned that in the chat too.
Still not great.
That the reason why the Chandra comic may not have done well is because there wasn't a card in it. Like, that seems to be the secret to success with these extraneous products, is you got to slip a card in there. Otherwise,
by the same token, you got to bribe us to buy the comic. But by the same token, the IGN High Tide promo, I mean, that didn't really do anything for the comic book, right?
Not really. And yeah, I mean, and I know there was more than one vendor who bought literally hundreds of copies of the comic books just to open them, get the promo, and throw the comic away.
Throw the comic away. Which is why I like this version better. It's more comics focused, with the alternate covers, with the sketch covers, no promo card, because they're going for the comics people instead of the Magic people. I think that's the way to go. This is much more in line with The Walking Dead. Secret Lair, where they're going for the Walking Dead fans, not for Magic fans, right? They're going for the comic fans, not the Magic fans. They're trying to go outside of their original sphere of influence.
I'll take that.
I think is smart.
I think it's smarter than just kind of going back to the same well and say, I hope promo cards work this time. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
Move on here to the pie bet of the century, the pie bet of last year, which was Arena Mobile Early Access. Hey, it's for the century for me. All right, I'm a marketer. Leave me alone.
It's here, kinda.
It is kinda here. Early access on Android is available right now. If you search for it, I think on the Google Play Store, you'll find it. And the only issues I think I've heard so far is that everything's kind of small, but it's a phone.
On your phone.
So you're not going to be able to read most of the cards on your phone.
Yeah,
the complaint is that my phone is small. Sounds like a successful program to me.
That sounds like a personal problem, but I mean, most of my Twitter feeds seem to be really okay with this. I was expecting a lot more negative feedback, and I just didn't see any, unless that's just people I follow.
Seems like it's come out relatively bugless, not bugged as in Sultai, but bug as in problems with the program.
Sure. It
seems like it's a relatively smooth transition. The cards work. The program functions. Kudos arena team. Like, I don't know how you pulled that off, but it was worth the delays.
No, it was, and that was a good idea to delay it until you were really happy with it, even if it might run a little slow on some machines or a little faster on others or whatever. But like, clearly they've done a decent job at not making anything that's like terribly bugged or terribly not working
stuff.
Yeah, I'll take it. So, and I'm here that iOS may make it
on
around
its way
Strixhaven
eventually, maybe.
Which would be nice.
Again, look, if the rollout for iOS is as good as the rollout for Android, take your time. Don't rush.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do it right. You know, you only have one chance to make a first impression. So
there you go.
Let's make sure you do it correctly. Moving on, y'all, to the PSA 10 Lotus. Ooh. Goodness gracious.
Okay. Sold?
Yes, 1993, Magic the Gathering Alpha Lotus with Chris Rush's signature on top of it. $511,000.
This is sexy. Whoever said power is an aphrodisiac was absolutely right. Like, this was hot. Like,
This is the hot fire. This is the number one thing. I mean, you know, it's one thing to be like, and I also don't remember this era, which is like, you know, remember artist signatures made everything worse and artist signatures made everything MP or whatever. It's like, no, Chris Rush on the PSA 10. This is like a one of a kind thing even.
Well, even now with the reserve list buyouts, I was looking at Lion's Eye diamonds the other day, and the last time I looked, even like a lightly played or even like a played Lion's Eye is still going for $600 a piece. And I remember when I saw the discussion happening, I was like, oh, well, you know, mine's played and it's also signed, and it's probably not going to be worth as much. And they were like, well, Margaret Organ Keene, who's the artist of Lion's Eye Diamond, doesn't really get out much. And so it's like, because she didn't really go, she's not like an RK Post, you know, where you can get her signature anywhere. They were like, that signature might not affect the value as much as you think it does. And so, you know, it's weird how these cards, you know, that something like a signature used to be a deal breaker, and now it's just the demand is so high, it's just not making a difference.
Yeah.
Or it's even making it better.
It's weird, you know, to kind of see that kind of that happen through Magic, where signatures were seriously very bad for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then signatures now become, they're super cool. And have you got, you know, so-and-so signed? That's incredible, you know?
Yeah.
So that's been fantastic. So congratulations to whoever won that auction. They have a piece of Magic history.
Oof. I remember the first time I ever held a Lotus in my hands. I went to Eternal Weekend 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember putting the call out on Twitter to borrow. I needed a Recall, I needed a Sapphire, and I needed a Lotus. And I was thinking the Lotus would be the last thing I would get, and it was actually the first thing I got. And I'll never forget my friend Tim literally packed it in one of these steno notepads. Like he put it halfway in, like taped it to the notepad, sent the notepad in like a manila like stuff. It was so clandestine, and I'll never forget just opening it. And I think this was just like a revised one, but still, you're just like, oh my god, I'm holding a Black Lotus. Like, it just feels incredible.
There's just something about, like, you know, people can say that proxies are good enough, whatever. No, when you hold the real thing, there's a, you know,
you feel dirty. You're just like, I'm not worthy.
This is an incredible piece of Magic history. It's very powerful. It's very expensive. I mean, a lot of things go through your head while you're doing that stuff.
I did not shuffle. Somebody in chat is asking if I shuffled the Lotus. No, I was very gentle and just sort of did my little
you
side shuffling that I did.
I put all 60 cards into top loaders.
No, I did not shuffle like Ben Stark does. Like, he shuffles really aggressively. Like, if you watch him shuffle, it hurts. Like,
I remember they got to the point, at least back in the day, where you knew some people were like the rough shufflers, and you'd be like, "Don't shuffle my deck. Like, I'll have the judge shuffle."
Well, I mean, I knew people that wouldn't lend cards to certain people because they were too manhandling,
which is fair. Yeah,
yeah. You get them back, and they'll be all like wavy. You're like, "What did you do to my card, man?
You cost me money by me lending you cards because now these are slightly played."
Yeah,
exactly. So, what do we want to hear to some desperate ravings? Unless you guys have strong feelings otherwise.
I do. I really want to plug this article by Chase. So Chase Carroll has really had a really big year. She's really busted out as being one of the content creators to watch, and she's been working very hard. And so she wrote this article for TCG Player that was called How to Stream Magic the Gathering. And you wouldn't think that an article like this would need to be written, but it's actually quite difficult to get started. Like, it's very daunting. And this is just from a technical standpoint. And so she does a really good job of breaking down your microphone, your camera, your overlay, your music, the new Stream Beats thing, scenes and panels. And that's not even getting into, I know I've been looking at getting my stream going again, and you have like loyalty badges, and you have like your bits badges, and you have your emotes. And then we learned tonight you have your new icons. There's now a Twitter icon and a Facebook icon. There's a schedule feature. You can add a trailer as well. And so, this is really just the tip of the iceberg, but a resource like this is very necessary because streaming just has so much to it, especially if you want to stream regularly. So I do recommend this article in particular. And if you enjoy Commander content, you should definitely be following Chase because she's working very hard for you.
And this also, first of all, Chase is also a really good Twitter follow. Seems to have a lot of good takes and in the center of a lot of discussions on Twitter. And second of all, occurs to me that when I recently tweeted, hey, does anybody out there do Twitch emotes? I got like literally 24 people cold calling me that aren't Magic related. They just like search Twitch emote on Twitter and then are like, hey, I do Twitch emotes, and like that's what they do. So I'm going to say it here. If you have Twitch emote, if you're a Twitch emote artist or have someone to recognize that won't spam me with responses, please recommend them in the feedback channel in the Discord.
Yes, that would be great. I would be happy to sponsor some Twitch emotes.
Well, we're going to pay for some emotes.
I'm also in the market for some as well. Like I said, I'd like to start streaming again, even if it's only just one night a week. And I know for me, I was thinking of having my loyalty badge be like a serum powder, and then like every color of the powder would be like the 2-month, the 3-month, or whatever.
I like that.
So that was something I was thinking of. But it's really daunting, like just going into your dashboard and being like, whoa.
Yeah. It can get a little rough, and I think intimidating is the right word. Where it's so much to kind of come at you at once, and we've even seen some recent podcasts that have kind of got started and kind of flared out in the past 4 or 5 months, where it's like it's tough to keep going, to get started.
We have the opposite problem because we've been around forever because we're old people and we're on a schedule.
We're going to do this forever.
We're quite regular, and the problem is that we don't know what to do. Like we talk, we can do that. We can record most of the time. We remember to hit the record button. But the problem is all of the bells and whistles. The problem is all the.
We are really lucky that we have a lot of behind the scenes help. We have our good friend Joe who assembles our show topics every week and puts them into a Google document for us. Yes. We have our amazing fans and friends and listeners who suggest topics for us. We have Evan's partner Carrie who literally compares our top 10s before we record, and then helps us create a spreadsheet of hires and things like that.
This show doesn't happen without Chris.
We have a top 10s editor. We have our live show editor. I mean, it takes a village to keep the show. You wouldn't know it, but it takes a village to keep the show going.
I'm literally the 7th most important person at Magic Homes. I think the order is Evan, Rich, then it's like tied between Aaron and Carrie and Chris, then Joe, and then like 3 more steps before you get to me. Like I literally show up, I tweet, and that's about it.
You actually do the tweeting very, very well. Like I really enjoy the tweets that you do.
Well, I have one job, so I at least do that one job well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here to Desperate Ravings, where there was a little tweet that came out that noted, hey, Wizards, have you noticed that the most played cards in Legacy, Historic, Pioneer, and Modern are all the same card?
So the thing that really started this was Uro won the Vintage PTQ. We had a Vintage PTQ on Sunday the 24th, and the deck that won was an Uro deck. And Vintage has been surprisingly resilient to Uro. It's anything with Uro is really like a fringe strategy. We really haven't seen the dominance like we've seen in other formats, but just for it to come out and make such a huge, it was like a 266 person PTQ. I did play in it, and just to see it go all the way to the top, in addition to, when you look at Legacy and you look at all these other formats, I mean, it just is what people want to be doing right now. And, people are just really, really over this card. It just leads to this really flaccid style of Magic that, people are just quite frankly over it. And so I really don't know how long this is going to go on. But, and I will say since then, no one's really played Uro again in Vintage. So there does appear to be a flash in the pan, thank God. But it is a little depressing to see all of these formats that are just, just these blue soup
40% of the decks in Historic.
Oh my God.
I'm medium okay with a quarter of the decks of Modern and a quarter of the decks of Legacy having Uro. I'm medium okay with it. It's still probably too much.
Right.
30%, a full third of the decks in Pioneer have Uro. That's too high. 40% of the decks in Historic? Are you kidding me? Get out of here.
Like, it's just too good of a rate. I mean, I get it. I understand what they were like. They want to make exciting mythics, and they want people to play with super cool cards. And even if you ban it out of all these formats, it's still going to be worth plenty of money because casuals all around the world love this card, love its effect. It's super cool for blue-green decks all around the world. That's fantastic. But in constructed formats, this thing is just not fair. It just does more for the mana than any card before it. Almost, way back to your Time Walks and your Ancestrals. Like, this card just gives you everything.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this on our top 10 episodes before, but I don't think we really talk about how Uro has changed the game in terms of the play style that it embodies, where, people have decided. I'm fascinated by the psychology of why people choose to play the decks that they do. And, people have decided that this is what they want to be doing. They want incremental life gain. They want to always make their land drops. They want to get some card draw, but they don't want to take that risk anymore. They don't want to know the feeling of like, is my Storm deck going to work, or am I going to get a turn 1 Gristlebrand? When we've seen combo decks have started running Uro because they want that comfort and safety of this mid-range strategy. And I don't think we talk nearly enough about that it's literally changed the way that people play Magic, where they've said, this is what I want to be doing with my life on a massive scale.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous in terms of its oppressiveness is the word, Yep. Like, I want
ubiquity. It's just like
right. Something's got to be the best.
Every format.
I get that something has to be the best, but if it's the best in every frigging format, something's wrong.
I would rather have it be the best in 2 of the 5 major formats, or maybe 3, than every major format. I would like for Lightning Bolt to be better than it in 1 format. One. You have to give me 1 format.
Right. You have to recognize at this point, like, we've given them time for the meta to do the meta things and the so and so to fight the so and so. It's over, man. Uro has won. We need to figure out what to do with this card rather than just deal with it and have it in our lives. Moving on here. Kenji Tsumura, who is a terrific Magic player,
and a Hall of Famer, apparently.
Oh, absolutely.
Magic the Gathering Hall of Famer, for sure.
I was there at the Invitational 2007.
Okay, no, I was thinking of somebody else. I'm sorry.
No, I was there. Good. I got to hang out with Kenji, and it was awesome. And the guy's hilarious and fantastic. Super good at Magic, obviously, because he won a MCQ.
Speaking of Uro.
As you do. I mean, he recognizes the best cards. And PVDDR says here, he's like, I'm very happy Kenji won an invite to the next Mythic Championships. I'm also very sad that he had to, given that he's a member of the Hall of Fame, who won very well-deserved lifetime invites as part of his benefits, and lost them out of nowhere with no explanation.
Yeah, so they don't exist anymore.
So it used to be, so the Hall of Fame used to mean that you were just kind of invited to every Pro Tour, and you would see that sometimes where, Alan Comer would come out of nowhere, or Kai would be like, I just feel like doing a Pro Tour, or
just I love that stuff. Just like you have Bram Snapfangers just showing up out of nowhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like Kibler sometimes just pops up because he was excited for a format.
Kibler just shows up every once in a while, like maybe back when Kai was living on the island, and
I remember that.
And it was like, oh, Kai came out of his hibernation to come to this Pro Tour. Cool. All the old hats are here. Like, that was such a thing to... And because the Pro Tour is gone, the Pro Tour Hall of Fame is gone, so they don't get the automatic invites anymore, but it's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, so now they have to qualify like everybody else, and it's just such a fall from grace.
Also, this is like the Kenjiest Kenji deck I've ever seen. Kenji is known for playing the best cards. Like, it doesn't matter what the rest of the deck does, the cards are good. Yeah. Like, and you look at this deck: Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, Mana Leak, Wrenn and 6, Growth Spiral, Force of Negation, Teferi, Uro, Jace, Cryptic Command, Omnath.
No. This deck is like the missionary position of Magic. Like, it's just the most, like, safe... And maybe even the heavy petting of Magic. Like, it's just the safest, sterile.
He likes Uro so much that he's playing 6 of them because he's got 2 Growth Spirals in the deck.
There you go.
And we've got, like, the only weirdo is the one of Hour of Promise. like that's the only weirdo.
You'll see the list is here. I linked it here in the chat, and you guys can check it out in the show notes. But I like to show all sides here on the show. And Raph Levy notes it's much easier to budget a tournament and give away minimum cash to all who show up, $500 to $1,000, without having to count between 10 to 50 extra people that they don't know if they're going to show up. I'm sure more than 20 Hall of Famers would show up at tournaments on Arena if they were given free money, which of course they would. But at the same time, you had an entire system set up for you've had some amount of your lifetime has been spent in Magic. You have all these accolades. You're given this status. We've given you this really cool ring. We had this entire ceremony, and then oops, none of that really matters anymore. So I know Wizards is like trying to figure out what the new Hall of Fame looks like. And yes, Rosewater should be in it. Yeah. And so whatever the fix is, these guys should be included. Like they did work for that.
And Kenji in particular, I think that everyone recognizes that. I'm not sure anyone has ever had anything bad to say about Kenji Tsumura. No. I will recall my own personal experience with Kenji. I was in a 3v3 team draft with some friends of mine, and we were up against, I want to say, Kenji, Mark Herberholtz, and I want to say Michael Jacob, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. This was the first time that any of us had drafted Eventide. And Kenji was drafting English versions of these cards. And is not a native English speaker, and ended up with 5 copies of the card Grazing Kelpie, because he didn't realize that Grazing Kelpie put the card on the bottom of your deck instead of on the top of your deck. And so in the middle of his first game, he's like, "Wait, why is this 2-3-4-4 not doing it?" And he like reads the card and he goes, "Oh no!" like it's a scene in a movie. Like he just like exploded in his seat. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that's how I normally draft.
There was also many famous stories about Kenji trying to stop people from dying to their own slaughter packs.
Yep, that is the classic. This was at Grand Prix Montreal, 2000. I want to say 7. This was the Time Spiral block Grand Prix. Brian David Marshall's walking around the floor, and he sees a down and dejected Kenji. And he says, "Kenji, what's the matter?" And he says, "Oh, I don't feel good." And Brian's like, "What? Did you lose?" And he's like, "No, I'm still undefeated. I'm like 10-0." And he's like, "What's the problem?" He's like, "I couldn't stop all of my opponents from losing to packed triggers. I only stopped 5 of them."
Why?
Of like 7.
Because he wants to win fair and square. He will beat you fair and square. He doesn't want to just get like the free win. Kenji wants to play the game. It's absolutely incredible. All right, so we don't have a ton of time per se.
Champion for the people.
But I do definitely want to talk about, as we slide into the red zone, about the Kaldheim cinematic trailer. Now, I feel like I might have explained myself a little bit poorly in the pre-show, in that I feel like a lot of this was taste more than what, sort of the Lego blocks of what they were doing. But for me, I was not very happy with the Kaldheim cinematic trailer. I felt like if you go from War of the Spark, which obviously is a very big emotional moment, they did a great job that, had a very expensive soundtrack, that sort of thing. Clearly they put a lot of money in that. Eldraine, I feel like they put a ton of money in that, and time and creativity. And remember that whole cooking show before the thing even like showed up? That was really sweet.
I love that.
And then we kind of moved into like Lord Theros was, I didn't like Theros at all.
Theros wasn't good.
But I thought we like swung it back around with Ikoria, right? And Ikoria was sweet. And then we kind of go back to Zendikar, where it was sort of a long narrative. It was fine. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was okay.
At the very least, it's inconsistent. Where it's like,
just
why
kind of everywhere.
We go all out and then we don't. Like, why are we pinging back and forth?
Right. And so I felt like it was not a very good sort of teaser, moment into the story. And Ruben, please let me know how you feel. You have 5
kids. You're not exactly known for the teaser.
Not exactly known for teasing.
Hey.
So I have a couple of things I want to say. First of all, the reason why I said I want to have a red zone in the show, but I didn't go into it, is because I feel like I've tipped my hand in red zones too much in the pre-show.
Okay. All right.
And so then Evan hears my arguments in the pre-show, and we get to the live show, and Evan's like, now I know what Ruben's gonna say. And so here's my plan, and so I want to come into this one.
Sure.
I want to keep my cards in my hand.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like you don't know what a teaser trailer does. Like, I feel like
and I know exactly what a teaser trailer does.
What's a teaser trailer do?
It's meant to generate excitement and hype and anticipation for the project involved, whatever that happens to be. And
it's
so
supposed to tease the audience, right? So
Sure.
It's not a trailer.
Okay.
A trailer is a preview right? It's sort of like an advertisement.
I mean, they do call it a cinematic trailer, but we won't mince words about it. Go ahead.
A teaser is meant to build anticipation and interest.
Right, but again,
and so you watch you watch a trailer, and it's like, oh, I get who these characters are. I see what the plot is. A teaser isn't supposed to do that.
But this isn't a teaser, by the way. This is marketed as a trailer, a cinematic trailer. To be clear,
yeah, the teaser was the first one with like the weird oil pattern, right?
Right. That to me was the teaser, and for what it's worth, I thought that was a fine teaser. That was
very cool.
That was okay.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, now we're going to show some narrative, and.
Okay. So there's a couple of problems here. One is we're advertising a set, which is, I mean, it's different than advertising a movie or a TV show, right? Yeah. Like and the other thing is we're getting the story back, written story available to us to read what the story is, as opposed to those previous sets when we didn't, because we were on layoff from having that. So we don't need to have the whole story exposited to us in a 3-minute trailer. I know, English major. In a 3-minute trailer. And so I think that the story elements that we were shown in this trailer were, we have Kaya fighting some troll things. The troll, Tybalt shows up. We don't know it's Tybalt yet, but Tybalt's in a hood. And he controls the troll things and beckons them towards him. They run past Kaya. Kaya, in ghost form, chases them into this other plane of existence, and Tybalt, twirls his mustache and leaves. Right? And that's trailer. Cool. And we have, like, heavy metal music in the background. It's not recognizable. It's not Bad Reputation. It's not... it's not, I can't help falling in love with you or whatever.
I can't take my eyes off of you and all that stuff.
Can't take my eyes off. Right. But it does. I feel like it does what you want a trailer to do, which is it makes you feel something. It makes you go. It makes you ask questions. It says, "Oh, this doesn't answer all of the things for me. I want to explore this further," and I think that this trailer does that.
And I disagree in that I feel if you were to cut the first 10 seconds off, which is the sort of the Viking Norse warrior character, you wouldn't have any idea what we were doing or talking about per se.
That's
you could
true.
say this is a dual deck between Kaya and Tybalt.
I do think that there should have been, if there isn't, there should have been another trailer featuring the main characters of the world as opposed to just Planeswalkers. Because right now we're just getting the Marvel Cinematic Universe connector pieces as opposed to whatever the main plot of the story is.
I feel it almost like they almost crippled themselves and given themselves literally like 59 seconds worth of trailer. Like you're going to have like a teaser, and then you're going to have like the trailer, and your trailer is going to be like 15 seconds longer than the teaser or whatever it was. Like that's tough. Yeah. Like you're setting yourself up for a very hard bargain essentially.
But the other thing is, I don't mind the music as much. I think that if you use a pop culture relevant song in literally every trailer, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself. I'm okay with a generic heavy metal something or other in the background that isn't anything
I don't know.
specific.
I thought it was a little strange that they cared enough to reach out to various metal bands and got them to preview cards, but
it's true.
While they were in the neighborhood, they could have been like, hey, can we also like borrow a song? Like it seems strange that they would only go halfway, where you obviously had the connections to pull something out. Like why didn't we go all the way?
I will say that this is not the best they've ever done. No, this is not the War of the Spark trailer. This is not... the kitschiness of Throne of Eldraine's trailer obviously was memorable at the very least.
I mean, I think it's better than Theros.
Yeah, Theros was utter garbage.
Theros was a mess. We didn't know what was happening. It was poorly done.
It was a mess. So that was
which is a shame. And I've talked about when we did our top 10 worst cards, which I think you can see last weekend. I really touched on that, where that set they just did so many. That set should have been just so much more exciting than it was in terms of the spotlight cards and in terms of the trailer. And this was supposed to be Elsbeth's big reveal, and it turns out she just kind of went out the doggy door, and we just made this clip art trailer where it was like, really, this was Elsbeth, like she deserved better than this.
I will say a big reason why I like this trailer is that I'm a huge Tybalt apologist. And I just like Tybalt as a bad guy.
Good cards.
I love Tybalt. I
made Tybalt like one of the big bads of the overarching Broken Pact campaign because I love Tybalt, even though every single Tybalt card has been bad
except the latest one.
Until War of the Spark had a sideboard card, and now we've got Trickery breaking formats, and this one in Shardless Bug.
Yeah, there was a couple Shardless decks in Legacy have gone 5-0. I don't think it's really crushed anything, but people are having fun with it. It's making a bit of a splash, and God bless them.
Yeah, it's very strong. I think ultimately, me and Ruben are as far apart as I was kind of afraid we were. I
don't think that you're wrong, and I don't hate you. This is like a light red. Like a pinkish zone.
It's a pinkish zone. We're both not happy
feel like
in weirdly different ways.
And I just, the way that you phrased it when you said how the reasons why you didn't like it during the pre-show, were like irked my film major brain in a way that was like, I'm not sure you understand what's happening, but now that I hear what you're saying, I kind of get it. And it's more of a taste thing, and that's fine.
It really is a taste.
Not everything has to be for everybody.
Right. I mean, I'm happy with little glimpses of stuff if that's your goal, but when you call it a trailer after you have a teaser and we have a thing and it's 59 seconds and I don't know what's going on.
Multiple trailers. Like, you can have different story arcs. So I would like to see one with the gods.
Sure. I mean,
Aaron, how do you feel about the pink zone? I need to.
We can't keep going because it's not the pre-show.
I
but we
used to
would.
prefer a little bit of pink. I don't want there to be no pink.
Oh my god! All right, moving
you like it like medium rare?
We're
talking about steaks, Evan.
Right,
what are you talking about?
All right, splash damage, ladies and gentlemen, real fast here. Remember Magic Legends? Remember that thing? It's like a Diablo, but it's like Destiny because it's kind of instance, but it's not.
That was supposed to be an MMO, but it's more like Diablo.
It wasn't.
Okay.
Then they were like, wait a minute, we can't do MMOs. That's bad. So put a link there to sign up for the open beta or sign up for the beta and the alpha.
Didn't you?
Well, I got in the alpha, they said, and then they're like, and you can't play for 11 days. And I'm like, dude, I may not remember I ever signed up for this in 11 days.
Have you seen the way he handles our emails? Just... Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
this wasn't. Here's a dagger.
If it's not written in large print on my wall, I'm going to forget about it in 12
totally.
seconds.
Yeah. Post Malone went on TV with an MTG T-shirt. That's really, really cool.
Did he really?
Yeah.
With MTG cards all over his shirt. I thought that was really
really cool. And I mean, actual
Post
MTG,
Malone.
not the crazy QAnon lady.
That's hilarious.
That's been all over the internet.
Referring to MTG as like a crazy thing. Yeah, cut it out.
This
reminds me of when Montana Republicans used the hashtag MTGOP and organized play.
Yeah, it was a hot mess.
Confusing as hell.
Two things really quickly.
That shirt is dope as hell. I want that shirt.
That shirt is quite dope. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman did come to an agreement from Wizards. That's awesome. Dragonlance stuff is coming. But I definitely wanted to touch on this next one, which is the Japanese government could change cosplay by making people have to pay licensing fees for being dressed up as characters.
That's not good.
This is a slippery slope.
Oh, it is. But I think you say, so you say to yourself, someone, so for example, the one they pictured in the article that's in the show notes, has made $90,000 a month from public appearances, merchandise, photo books, and so on. Now, so if you were to say, I were to make a character, and then this person were to dress up as that character and make a lot of money from that character, are you owed anything? Like right now, they're getting like $0 out of it. And I'm not saying any of this is right or wrong. I'm just presenting the sides of it, which is
interesting.
As someone who owns the IP of Dragon Ball,
art, right?
And they do Dragon Ball, dress up, and they get $100,000 for it. Do I get $0 or do I get $10? Do I get $100?
Fan art of a Disney character and Disney sues you, and you do cosplay of a Disney character. Does Disney sue you? Like,
not right now.
Where is the line? What if you do a Disney bound version, or you say, "Oh, I'm not dressed as Tifa Raven Braid or whatever her name is. I'm just wearing black suspenders and a tank top." Right? Like, where is the line?
Exactly.
This kind of reminds me of like
there.
how the audio used to be. Like, I remember when I started my first 2 podcasts, and I remember asking people, like, am I allowed to use like a known song, like a Beyonce song? And the general attitude was, well, as long as you don't get like too popular, it's fine and no one's going to care. And it sounds like that's the case here. Obviously we don't have all the information, but it sounds like if you're not really making like a living, if this is just kind of like your side hustle and you need some extra pizza money, it doesn't sound like they really care about that. But if somebody's able to like make a good living off of this, then I can see why they might be like, maybe we should be getting a cut of this.
I mean, someone here in the chat says that Disney does send cease and desist to cosplayers all the time, which
really?
I'm totally not surprised.
Fascinating. Okay.
Because again, I can see you dress up as a Star Wars character.
How this goes.
You go somewhere and get an appearance fee.
Yeah, I think it's different if you're doing it for fun and you're doing it, like I said, as a career, or if you're not really a big name where you're
Right. So, I mean, again, this is sort of drawing that line where I totally understand sort of from the fan cosplay side of it, why in the world are we paying these giant companies? And then from the company side of it, why are we putting all this money and effort into these characters? And then they take the characters and make money off of them, and then we don't make any money off of that either. Okay. So that's the corporate side of it.
Well, I mean, and also, I'm looking at the comments of this post here too, and it also expands on something we talked about before, where it's, how much value you had mentioned, the cosplayer saying, or you had mentioned the company saying, what are we really getting out of this? And somebody in the comments was like, oh, they like to go to the free advertising thing. And it's like, but how would you track that? Like, how would you track, how much business that one, exactly. You can't really track what that one cosplayer has brought into your company. It's a lot.
I mean, you can definitely be like, hey, oh, wow, that guy is dressed as a turtle pirate with an eye patch. What's that from? It's from Critical Role. Well, now I'm going to go watch Critical Role. Right? The cosplayer brought that person into Critical Role. But Critical Role isn't making any money off of that person's cosplay. Is there an exchange that needs to happen there? This seems like a very complicated, extremely messy situation for people who are already freelancers. Cosplayers don't have a central union. There's no company they work for. They're in their own house 10 hours a day sewing. So, this is going to be a mess.
It's going to be rough. I feel like there's going to be a lot of awkward interactions. So, so-and-so company is going to go after such and such cosplayer, and it's going to cause a big, ruckus and a problem. And it's likely going to cause more issues than not. But I agree at some point, just like as someone who would work at a company that makes these characters for a living, you go, damn, they're making, hundreds of thousands of dollars off our characters. We should probably have a conversation about it. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's move here and turn the corner to the finisher. In the 2 weeks since our last live show, GameStop stock has gone from under $40 to more than $340. As of this recording, it's valued by the New York Stock Exchange at a paltry $92 a share, thanks to the dark, unintelligible sorcery and made-up money math that is #stonks. Power to the players indeed. And with Redditors and Zoomers ready to snap up AMC, Nokia, Dogecoin, and other meme properties, what other pop culture stocks are you hoping to see explode back onto the scene, Ruben?
Well, GameStop and AMC are hits that defined early 2000 malls. And to that end, I'm looking forward to snapping up stock that defined my high school mall life. Hot topic. Because this trend ain't worth a damn unless I can get $250 a share for my black on white snarky text t-shirts and knockoff magic bobbleheads.
Very nice. Aaron?
Well, cryptocurrencies are all the rage. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and more are blowing up like drug-addled floor trader blood vessels.
Lord.
It's funny because I also work with investments. Magic player. Okay, Mt. Gox. Oh, what happened here? Okay, Magic players and hedge fund crypto kids have a lot in common. Mt. Gox, the OG Bitcoin site, was originally MTGOX, a Magic singles reseller. Ruben, I hate you. This is so wordy. So I'm excited for the next big crypto, CoinPanion, the most broken new stock since Yorion.
Nice. Invest now. Well, look, Robinhood and the other public traders are crashing into BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, and other meme stocks like a sumo match, making the stock market more volatile than usual as of late. So I'm excited for the next big financial trading company featuring the big minds behind trading card companies. Rishadon Port, tap us for your investment advice.
Oh, geez.
I mean, I would sign
tap
up.
401k. Tap IRA. Do it.
Rishadon Port financial advice. Tapping stocks.
That sounds professional. I like that.
So you don't have to.
That's right. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Yeah, you guys did a good job tonight.
Goodness gracious. We're going to move here.
We were all well lubricated.
We're move to our
just a little bit of pink.
Wow. We're moving here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and our newest sponsor, Alter Sleeves. Get yours at altersleeves.com/magicmics. My co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.